Finally, some price action on BTC after a lackluster week last week and a sideways weekend. So the question is, where is BTC going to drop to and find support? We're going to cover that in this video, as well as go through some of the other altcoin charts and have a look at some potential trade setups that may appear, similar to what we looked at last week. And we'll also go through all the things you need to know going on in TradFi this week as well. So if you do enjoy our content, please do consider liking and subscribing. Does help us out massively, and we really do appreciate it. So let's get the macro TradFi stuff out of the way first. Not too much going on this week, but the big one is definitely on Thursday. US initial jobless claims and the CPI print as well. So expecting an uptick in CPI this month due to some increased costs in energy and oil. However, we have no FOMC this month, so there's no rate hike decisions this month. That will be next month in September. So we'll have to see how the CPI reading affects the markets this week. As I say, that will be on Thursday. We also still have some more earnings coming through. However, they're coming towards the end now, and some of the big names have already been and gone and didn't really impact the market too much. We had, Apple, Coinbase, and Amazon last week. Didn't really rock the markets too much. So I don't think that's going to impact things too much. It's really mainly the CPI read on Thursday and how the market reacts to that data. Let's get into the charts then. And we'll take a look at BTC. Again, as always, we'll go higher time frame to lower time frame. On the monthly, the big concern is, has 29.3k become resistance? If it has, then that makes this whole move over that level of resistance a deviation. And so on a monthly time frame, the next logical support or target would be 25.2k. As we know, it was this swing high from back in August 2022. Resistance here in Feb, broke above it, tested it, retested as support later this year in June, and had that big bounce which sent us up to the top, the local top of about 31.5k. So are we going to return back there? It certainly looks logical from a higher time frame perspective. In terms of the weekly, we've got some support coming up here at around 28k, and that is also the case on the daily time frame, which I'll get to in a second. But also we've got this sort of pattern that we've been playing, or that's been playing out ever since the start of the year, where we have a big impulse, slow grind down support, big impulse, slow grind down support, big impulse, slow grind down support, etc. So is this just another slow grind down to support and another potential higher low? So as you can see, we've been setting higher lows all throughout the year. Next logical higher low area, probably around that 28k area, as I just mentioned. So we'll have to see whether the price holds up there. If we get down to 25k, then there's an argument to say that that structure may well be broken, as that makes an equal low to what we made in June. If we take a look at the daily, so we talked about this last week, this important level of 29.1k, which was the lowest point of last Tuesday, the Tuesday before last, in fact, on the 25th of July. You can see we got a daily close below it on Saturday, and bearish retest yesterday and today. And as you can see, we're starting to drop a little bit now. Next logical area for me on the daily time frame is this 28k area. It was support back here on the 2nd of May. Flipped to resistance when we broke below it on the 8th of May, and you can see the resistance spikes here on the 10th of May, 28th of May, 29th of May, and 30th of May as well, in fact. So strong level of previous resistance, not been retested yet as support. So I think that's the next logical area for BTC. If we take a look at Ethereum, currently looking like it's going to lose its last daily level before coming back down to this weekly level of 1783. So we've talked about this many times on this channel. This year Ethereum has been horrible to try and trade and chart because it's just been very boring. But this monthly level 1721, very, very strong resistance, broke over the top, held as support a couple of times. Looks like we're going to retest it again. And on the weekly time frame, you've got this mini range that we've been stuck in between 2012 and 1783. Looks like we're heading back down to that weekly level support. But as I say, even if it breaks that weekly level support, you've then got the 1721 monthly support, which is the big hit. If you lose that and that becomes a deviation, then things start getting interesting. But as I say, we're a little while off that. If we take a look at Ethereum BTC, monthly time frame, you can see it's stuck in this big range between 0.08 and 0.053. Take a look at the weekly. Ever since it deviated back into the weekly range low at 0.062, it's not really done much, just trending sideways. If it continues to trend sideways without any real movement, then we should hit this bearish trend line around the end of the month, start of September, and that could be quite interesting. So all depends. If we break down from this level, then I'm going to expect 0.053, the monthly range low, or if we manage to break above this bearish trend line, maybe a retest of the weekly mid-range up at 0.066, and maybe even all the way up to the weekly range high 0.07. Obviously, what's good for Ethereum and ETH/BTC is good for altcoins, but at the moment they are continuing to suffer a lot worse than PTC. If we take a look at some macro TradFi stuff, then the S&P currently at a potential local top, so we're at the same area that we dropped from back in March of last year. As you can see, had a strong rally up, would not be surprised to see a pullback as we mentioned last week. On the weekly, bit of a red week last week. Next logical area of support for me, as you can see on the monthly time frame, is this 4327, which was the swing high of August 2022. That would be quite a decent pullback. If we go from the top, you're looking at a 6 to 7% pullback, and then from this point here it's about only another 4%, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that. And when you consider that the S&P is up 0.5% for the day and Bitcoin is almost 1% down, when you've got that relative weakness, that means that if the S&P were to start dropping, then Bitcoin's probably going to drop a lot harder, so keep an eye out for that. We'll take a look at the dollar. After its strong bounce from 99.63, holding that monthly level of 101.1, now starting to lose a little bit of steam and in a dangerous area where it's very strong potential for another lower high on the weekly timeframes, as you can see. So if that starts to roll over, that could be good for BTC. However, if it starts to get that momentum back, then obviously it's not going to be good for BTC. So normally has an inverse relationship, although not perfect. That is generally the case most of the time. And then finally the VIX, as we've talked about, not for a while though, because it's done absolutely nothing for a long time, but when the VIX is low, look out below. When the VIX is high, time to buy. So a low VIX usually indicates a drop or an incoming drop in the stock market, i.e. mainly the S&P. So as I say, the VIX has been suppressed for a long time. The S&P has been on an absolute rampage and it's now hit resistance, so would not be surprised to see the S&P take a drop, the VIX rally, which would also, as I say, more than likely lead to BTC dropping as well. So with that in mind, let's take a look at some alts and have a look at some trading setups. So not much has changed, as I say, from the weekend. However, things are starting to move towards potential entries. So ADA still in the higher portion of its daily range, deviated back inside back on last week on Wednesday, so that's a bearish sign. We could see this trade all the way down to the daily range low, and that's where I'd be looking to trade, either pick up a long, either testing the level, or if it deviates back inside, or if it breaks bearish retest, then short that down to the weekly range low, as you can see on the weekly time frame. That definitely looks like where it's coming to next. It broke down, bounced off the range low up to the mid range, and it's probably coming back down to that weekly range low. Patience required for that one though. AVAX, similar story, came down to its monthly range low, bounced up to the monthly mid range, which is also a weekly level, as you can see when you look left to right, and now trending back down to that monthly range low. If we go down to the daily time frame, in another range, it's in this lower half of the range, as you can see. So once that gets down to the daily range low, might look at a potential long there. Of course, all of these scenarios are dependent on where BTC is at the time. If BTC is at support and so are the alts, i.e. at daily range lows, then that looks like a good chance to long or buy. However, if they lose their daily range lows and Bitcoin still has a little bit way to go to get to support, then we could look at a bearish retest and jump in short down to the next target area. And so for AVAX, daily range low down at $12. As I say, if that breaks down, bearish retest, aim for these wicks down here, or even the monthly range low. BNB just been going sideways, as you can see. So once again, if it comes down to the daily range low of 231, potential long there if BTC is a support. If not, break down below, bearish retest, and down to the weekly range low of about 207-ish, as you can see. DOT, again, big monthly range here, hit the bounced off the monthly range low, bearish retest of the monthly mid-range weekly level, and that weekly level and monthly mid-range is also the daily range high, as you can see. Mid-range here at $5.12, and it's making its way down to its daily range low of $4.71. Once again, if it comes down to the daily range low and BTC is on support, could be a decent long. If it breaks down below, bearish retest, and BTC still has a way to go to get to support, or is breaking down itself, short down to the monthly range low at $4.18. Matic looking very bearish. If we go to the monthly time frame, as you can see, monthly close below the monthly range low at 70 cents. Bearish retest, big wick, didn't get back above it, and another bearish retest so far again this month. If we go to the weekly, next target for me after this bearish retest of 76 cents is the start of this leg of the move here from 19th of June, which is 58 cents. So a little bit way to go. And on the daily time frame, probably a bit late to try and enter short because you've got these two support areas here, one at 65 cents, one at 61 cents. However, if it can have a little rally up to the monthly range low, up to this sort of daily level here where you can see plenty of support and resistance, then that could be a potential short. However, I don't think so. I think BTC is going to make its way down to 28k, and Matic will slowly break through these levels. A potential trade, of course, if we break below 65 cents, have a bearish retest, and that could be a potential trade. Not too bad, about 9%. So yeah, that's an option. Near, once again, if we go to the higher time frames on the weekly, making its way down to the range low, as you can see, broke below the range low back in June, deviated back inside, only made it up to the weekly mid-range, plenty of rejections there, and now grinding its way down to the weekly range low. If we have a look at the daily, you can see it's testing a daily range low now. Don't trust jumping in here, mainly because of the fact that, as I say, BTC looks like it's going lower, probably to 28k, and this daily range low has had a lot of tests. It's bounced off it on the 26th of July, made it up to the mid-range, bounced off it on the 1st of August, again, only made it to the mid-range. So I think this level is about to give out. If I'm looking at I'm looking at this weekly range low at $1.25. Again, dependent on where BTC is when or if near gets down to that price. And then we'll take a look at ZIL, go on to the daily, and as you can see, in its own little range, slowly grinding down to the daily range low. Same goes for everything, as I've said before. If it gets down here, BTC's on support, look for a long. If it breaks down, bearish retest down to the monthly level below. And then finally, VeChain. This is a trade that we've taken on the Earn While You Learn in Learning Crypto Premium. If we take a look at the higher time frames, as you can see, in a big monthly range, didn't even make it up to the monthly mid-range before it started breaking down, so a bit of weakness there. Go on to the daily time frame. This is the only altcoin on the watch list that has actually broken below its daily range low, and therefore we jumped in on this bearish retest, as you can see, of 0.0178. So yeah, this is what I mean by if the daily range low has been broken, whilst BTC looks like it's going low, it could set up for a nice short, and that's what we're going for here. Invalidation is basically a daily close back above the daily range low, and we'll jump out and we'll see that as a deviation. You know, if BTC makes a big wick today and recovers, then so be it. But this looks like a good setup for a short. And as you can see, this is the screenshot of it so far. It's only just got moving, only 3% on a 3x so far. But it'll be pretty nice profits if BTC makes it down to 28k, which I'm sure if BTC makes it down to 28k, then VeChain will hit this TP2 here down at 0.016. If you want to know more about Earn While You Learn service on Learning Crypto Premium, visit our website or follow the link down below. All the information is there. But for now, that is it from me. Let's have a look and see what happens for the rest of the week. As I say, Thursday's the big day with CPI, and we'll see what happens if and when BTC makes it down to 28k. So have a good week, and I will catch you on Friday for another video and a follow-up of all the trading setups that we've gone through today.